Yeah, the first record I ever bought. Hold on, let me see.
The first record I bought.
I don't know about the first record I ever bought.
The first album I ever bought.
The first record I ever bought.
This has to be the first record I ever bought with my own money, and obviously it's Run DMC's Raising Hell. Huge, influential album for me, and I guarantee most cats from my generation. But yeah, man, I remember when this came out, I saw an ad for it, and the Arizona Republic, they were selling it at Tower, so I gave my mom some money, and asked her to go down and pick it up for me. So she went down and drove down there because she was working down that way, and she went and picked it up for me and brought this home for me. So this is the first album I ever bought with my own money. Run DMC's Raising Hell. Classic.
All right, here we go. Yeah. First record I ever bought was UTFO. I bought this when I was like 16 years old, back in Milwaukee. I bought this from a record store called Rent-A-Record. And it was actually a record store where you can go in there and actually rent records. A lot of DJs back in the days used to go in there, and they would be doing a party that weekend, so they go in there and they buy 5 or 6 records, or rent them rather. You could like buy them for like $7 a piece, and then when you brought them back a few days later, they would give you like $5 back. So you basically got to use the record for the whole weekend for $2. So I didn't rent this, but you could rent or you could buy. But yeah, that's where I got it from, Rent-A-Record. That was back in like 1986. First record I ever bought, UTFO. Second record I ever bought was Crush Groove.
Probably have to be like some weird punk rock record. There's some stuff from when I was young. Old Phoenix compilation on Placebo Records, and this was just a lot of different noise punk rock bands, different sort of outsider music, probably from the 80s, late, middle 80s, early.
Yeah, I think it was like Licensed to Ill or something like that, and I bought it not like when it came out or anything, but I think I bought it when I was maybe like 17 or something like that. That's when I first got a record player and started, dabbling into records. And then maybe like, after, when I was maybe about 18, 19, I started buying more LPs and things like that. But yeah, the first thing was Licensed to Ill. I think I might have got it from like, could have been like Rushmore Records or something like that.
Wow. 2-3 Break by the B-Boys. All the early cameos. Arcade Funk by Tilt. I'm just thinking of the ones we used to scratch to death every day after school. The Headhunters. I don't know, dude. I don't know. The first record I bought was the Buddy Holly Story. That was the first album I bought. I don't remember the first single, but it might have been Fats Domino, because I was really into Fats Domino in my early days, and where I went to grade school, they had a dance class, I think every Thursday, so they needed music, so I started playing music for that, and then one year, I remember they had a very small lunchroom, and so they had 2 seatings, like 12 to 12:30 was the first group, 12:31. So I could play records in there, and I remember, playing Fats Domino and Ricky Nelson and, Elvis and whatever at the time in that situation, and that was kind of the first kind of DJing thing that I realized, well, I got to get some more records to play, because I had a little just stash that I bought, and then I started to take it a little more seriously and look for promo records and find out what a record distributor does, and So I'd go into Phoenix to the record distributors in Phoenix and get free records, which was that was almost as exciting as hearing James Brown for the first time, when I realized you could actually get free records if you had if you were a DJ. So early on, a friend of mine, we started a little DJ service called Have Records Will Spin, and we started in high school. I started playing in grade school, but by the time I got to high school, I met a couple other guys that were of the same mind, and they were a little more electronically oriented, and I was more vinyl oriented, so it was a great combination, because I take care of getting the vinyl, and they take care of the speakers and the amplifiers and the turntables and all of that. So all through high school, we did a lot of record hops.
To the championship.
What up? Just coming out of Hyde Park Records out here in Chicago. Picked up a couple joints. Got the funky Jimmy McGriff. I think there's a Black Sheep sample on here. Mel Lewis and Grady Tate on drums. Real fun. Got the Lou Donaldson joint. I know there's I think it's a brand Nubian sample on here. Old Blue Note. Yeah, Lonnie Smith on the organ. The Rudy Van Gelder. What else we got? Oh my God. We got the little rail with the mellow right on. And it has an instrumental. Real funky. I must say that this is probably the best store I've been to so far on this trip. First time to Chicago. Shout out to Mediocre for hooking us up on this one. This is his old spot where he used to work. The Dollar Record is off the chain in here. I didn't even go through them all. Went through most of them. More jazz than anything in there. Insane. An example of a Dollar Record right there. Where else are you gonna get that for $1? This has been reissued. I can pick it up for $15 reissued. Never. Gonna wait for this. That's the opportunity I'm looking for. 99 cents, baby.
Most people who collect records, especially if you've been collecting records for a while, like myself, there's always that factor of space. And like most record collectors, they have records all over the house, as you can see. You know, most collectors, they got records in every room of the house. But if you come take a look at here, I got records in my bathroom. I be running out of all kinds of space. So I could like be sitting down, taking care of my business, and I could just be like, flipping through records like that, and oh, yo, play that, you know what I'm saying?
Put on this last night.
I had to go visit some family, and I made a special trip. We took the long way just because I wanted to stop. Shop was like, "We're gonna be late." And I said, "No, there's always time to stop." I stood in line. People get Halloween costumes. I'm glad I stood in line. I found this beautiful folkways. Folkways stuff is always really good because it's really like high-end stuff. It's like really classy stuff that they did. They've done a big thing in Wax Poetics about the guy who did the album designs for all the stuff from Folkways. I have a big stack of stuff that I'm waiting to sell too. I'm waiting for the right time to put up a big lot of Folkways stuff. Because like I said, it's just really classy, like high-end stuff that kind of like collectors want. It's like they have music of the Andes and music of Africa and music of Spain and music of the Netherlands but it's all like traditional music. They don't really get into too much pop stuff. But I found this one. It's music used in many popular television commercials. Man, and there's stuff. It's like Dan and Yogurt, Bolo Wine, Ship and Shore Fashions, London Fog, Volkswagen, Lincoln Mercury, Ford, Xerox, Oldsmobile. This is the last track for Shell Steel Belted Tires. The Devil's Delight. You know, The Devil's Delight. And I was going to sell this to you because it's unique. It's just stone made. Beautiful. The shrink is still attached. I figured I would hang on to this after I heard this track. I'm going to keep it.
These are records from Thailand that I got to find from a little bit of looking. A bit of this is called Morlam music. This label I liked a lot. I kept noticing good stuff was on this. But I really know very little about this. I think this music is called Lok Thong sometimes too. Lok Thong. I don't know too much about it, but I know that some of these records got some nice music on them. Well, this is a record I got a long time back that I like. Mark Moulin. You can see I should be treating it better, but this got some really, really good music on it. Let's see. Well, this is a record I had when I was younger, but actually just a tape. But the music's important to me. It's Velvet Underground, Loaded. It's got good songs. It's pretty different than their other records.
Let's see, my earliest record memories go back to being a kid, digging through my dad's record collection. He was a jazz musician, and he grew up in Chicago playing trumpet in bands and stuff all around town. So he had a big music habit. He even worked at Tower Records in downtown Tempe in the 80s. So my dad always had vinyl around. You know, my pops or my mom would let me go into his vinyl collection and pull out some records, and I can remember listening to the Beatles and the Beach Boys and stuff like that. You know, he was a jazz head. He bought Miles Davis, John Coltrane's, and you know, all the good classic jazz. But also he bought some pop music for moms and, you know, I guess the family too. So he wouldn't inundate us with jazz all the time. But the Beatles were one of my favorite groups, and I can remember just sitting in front of the stereo for hours with the album cover, just staring at the album cover, reading all the stuff when I could read, or just reading the notes, looking at the pictures, the artwork, and just getting inside the whole world of the music. And you just don't get that stuff with CDs. You know, you got a little picture this big, and writing's all small. You know, you get a big record with a gatefold, you got everything right there. It's just living art in your face. And hearing the clicks and the skips in the vinyl, you know, that warm feeling. I'll never forget it. I'd sit there and eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich and listen to records and just vibe out, maybe pull out my Star Wars characters and have a little battle with my G.I. Joes and listen to Sgt. Pepper's.
My name is Jeff Walker, aka Jeff, aka DJ Drunk Jeff, aka Missy. I'm just kicking it. My collection, there's a little bit of everything up in here. I want to start off with something over here. I want to show you this. I know you're familiar with Wax Poetics magazines, one of my favorites. Been a subscriber forever. I got every issue, even number 1 and 2, which are like $100 a piece. I got them. Wax Poetics poster right here. This is basically a goal to me. I want every record on here. One day I will have them. I don't know how hard or how much I'll have to spend, but I will have them. I got a good portion of them. I probably have, I would say, 40% of them. Not quite half, but I'm getting there. I do have a good chunk. There are some very valuable records on there. There's also some almost crap on there, I have to say. I hate to say it, but, you know, whatever. But I do have this poster, so this is like a personal goal of mine. I'll show you what I have. This is kind of crazy. I told you I was a subscriber, so they sent me this poster for being a subscriber, right? So I got my poster in the mail, and it was all messed up. The whole corner was torn off. So I emailed dude and told them, and they were real cool. They sent me a new one. So I used my old one as a little checklist. So here it is. It's up in this little closet. So everything right here with an X on it I have. There's no X, I ain't got it yet, but I will. But there's common record. That's a common record. I don't have it. Why? I don't know. I see it every day for $3. I'll get it. That's a common record. See that every day for $3. Never seen that, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Weldon Irvine, that's $100. One day I'll get it. Hopefully I don't have to spend $100, but I'll get it. Definitely a personal goal. This right here, just caught that. I just got that. I just got that. Actually for $1 in Milwaukee. Actually, no, I take that back. In Chicago. Hyde Park Records right there. $1. Got that at the Beat Swap Me Sealed. What, 8 months ago or something like that. I just got that. That came through Rockstone Records where I work on the side. Just caught that right there. Just got that at Rockstone when I got back from Milwaukee. So, you know, it's all good. It's coming. They're all coming. All coming.
Oh, this is a record that's cool to me. Mouth of the Night from Psychic TV. And this is a group that I liked a lot growing up as a kid, and I still do. Robin Gristle and Psychic TV. A lot of this stuff related to these things. But this was made for a dance troupe. And it's got some really spooky stuff. Like basically music that sounds like someone doing things inside water in a cave. That sounds pretty good. And then there's also a song on here that just sounds like crazy electronic beats, but it's all based off of like Haitian rhythms. This is an interesting record actually. Oh, I don't have it, but this is there's a good voodoo record that does, what's their name? Soul Jazz put out. This has some good beats. The Android Sisters. Sounds sweet. Good cyborg rap.
So I've been collecting records since 1986, roughly. Hip hop, of course, Run DMC, Raising Hell, Houdini, Back in Black. You know what I mean? Back in the days when the Warehouse and Sam Goody and all them carried records, and I was able to go to Sam Goody's and buy Too Short, Born to Mac on vinyl, which is incredible. And then all of a sudden, you know, I started learning about beats and everything, and I remember going to thrift stores and, you know, the late 80s, early 90s, and finding Sly and the Family Stone records, and I thought I was the man because I had Sing a Simple Song on vinyl, and I knew nothing about it till I found it. I'm like, wow, this was that song, and blah, 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 whatever. Now I know a little bit. I don't know a lot. I'm getting there. I'm learning everything. But, you know, like, I just got, let me see, you know, I got just dope joints, you know, Grant Green, one of my favorites, Chico Hamilton, you know what I mean? Donny Hathaway, I got all his joints. I got Freddie Hubbard, Bill Scott Heron, Bob James, you know, there's huge drums on this record, you know what I'm saying? I got doubles. It's endless, man. Idris Muhammad, you know what I mean? Just incredible stuff. This is what I thrive upon. This means more than anything to me. You know what I mean? This means more than any of my hip hop records, any of my alternative records. This is where it's at for me. I'm trying to get everything because this is what I'm listening to more than anything. Curtis Mayfield, David Axelrod, Doc McDermott, you name it. You know what I'm saying?
This is a record I found when I was a kid in my parents' records. You can see the song titles. This is some Phoenix New Wave music. When I was a kid, I didn't know what to make of it. But it's pretty good. It's pretty ahead of its time.
You know, as you got older, you started hearing hip hop and the samples, and you're like, man, my dad has that record. So that always tripped me out. That, you know, he kind of was into something that blossomed into what I was into. Because if there would have been no jazz, no rock, no soul, there'd be no hip hop. So basically, I owe it to my dad. He gave me the vinyl virus. That's what I call it. Because I think my mom yelled at him a couple times for buying too many records. And I think he got in trouble for it. I think he probably still does to this day. But what's great about him is I get to make him mixtapes of stuff that maybe he didn't buy back in the day. You know, when he's buying the straightforward jazz, you know, there's a lot of interesting funky jazz that maybe he wasn't paying attention to because he was a pretty hardcore cat. But now he loves that stuff, and through reissues and whatnot, and me just making him tapes, he's discovered a whole other world of jazz, which I think is pretty awesome. He gave something to me, and now it's my turn to give something back to him, which I think is pretty amazing and awesome, and I enjoy doing that. He always gets a birthday mix CD or something for Christmas, and one of my best memories is my dad and I going to see James Brown at a casino, and that was the first time I ever saw my dad get out of his chair, and he was raising the roof, dancing, he bum rushed the stage. Dude, I've never seen my dad do that. He was probably in his 60s when he did that, and that blew my mind. And that was one of the most special occurrences in my life and most special days is sharing the James Brown concert with my dad. So I've got to give thanks and praises to my father for showing me what good music is all about.
When people from out of town talk about out of the past, it's usually related to stuff. And is it when you're leaving down here? There's no separation down here. It's just massive accumulation after about 30 years. Because the Hendersons who own this place, Marie is obviously Mrs. Henderson, and Mr. Henderson is right around the corner. They've been in the business for on and on. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your man E, kicking it live from the west side of Chicago at the legendary Out of the Past Records. Talking about digging deep in the crates for those unorthodox breaks. I gotta tell you, this is one of those places. It's kind of a blast from the past, man. There's not many places like this left, man. I've seen DJ Shadow talk about a place in San Francisco. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like accumulation of like 30 years of stuff, man. And all we do is talk to people who like to come here, get filthy dirty, digging through, tons of crap. But man, this place still got gems. But I talked to people who dug in this place 10 years back before I even moved to Chicago.
and they said, oh man, this place been picked and stuff like that. But like 2 weeks ago, man, I found basically a brand new copy of Syl Johnson's, This Is Because I'm Black, just chilling on the shelf. So I mean, this place has got bomb gems from all sorts of shit. So whenever people come in here and say, man, I hit that place 10 years ago, dug it, you know, man, crazy stuff. When you dig deep, you're unbelievable what you unearth, man. So people going to other towns, other parts of the country, it's all for that fix, man. Digging, getting dirty, and finding that record, that jazz record, that disco record, that record from Japan that no one knows about. But man, keep digging, keep getting dirty, man. Analog out.
North Central Phoenix Italian American Club since they've been doing this. Came up with $40 today, which, you know, ain't a whole lot of money, but it goes pretty far out here. So going through some 45s, looking for some soul, funk, R&B. Copped a Brenda George for $2. Nothing too serious, but it sounds good. I got a nice Joy Division bootleg 7-inch that's got some ill electro style stuff that apparently was never released.
Some good old, these are my folks records, my dad's old ska records. Ska compilation, and these come in useful. I was just playing these like night before last. Good old, fast, crazy ska music from Jamaica.
I got turned on to Chess, Checker, Stax, Volt, I mean, Atlantic, I mean, all these wonderful labels that you wouldn't necessarily hear here on the radio, but there were plenty of promo copies to go around. So then that's kind of when I paid a lot more attention to R&B and soul, and, you know, got into James Brown was always there, but got into Otis and the Stax sound, and, you know, some of the Motown things too, because as people have discovered, especially the English over the years, some of the best Motown stuff was the non-hits. The stuff that didn't get on the radio is the most collectible stuff.
Like when we're out grinding, dude, and like combing Craigslist for people selling collections and combing the dollar stores, and then we, you know what I mean, like we're turning those around. We should be the ones dictating. We're the DJs to begin with, you know what I mean? Like we're the ones that are supposed to be telling people what's hot to begin with. So the fact that, like, this is almost taking it to the next level. If we're digging, it's like we should be dictating to everybody else what's hot. It shouldn't be some, like I said earlier, man, no disrespect, it shouldn't be some kid, you know, young, pimple-faced kid behind the counter that's just been in it for a year or so. But you don't, you know, working at a Zio or something like that, or a Bookman's. We don't, you know, I don't want them to tell me what's hot. I'm supposed to be telling them what's hot. I've been a DJ for 10 plus years. When I first came into digging, it was like just the word digging. Like, to me, it just meant that you were supposed to go out and grind. And I spent the first couple of years like hitting a Goodwill here and there, hitting the Salvation Army, hitting places where I remembered seeing records as a kid and having really bad luck. And I just, you know, I can't remember the exact time, the exact place, or the exact one, or the exact location, but there had to be a time when I came up and I said, this is what it's all about, man. This is what it's all about, is like finding that stack, man, at a Goodwill, just at the right time, at the right place. You go in there, man, and it's like right afternoon, and they just priced a big stack, and it's coming out in the cart, and you just look at it, man, you just see stacks, dude, and everything's 99 cents, and it just hit me right then. I was like, this is what it's all about. But it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes grind, it takes gas, you know what I mean, and it takes a lot of patience. I live for it, dude. I live for it. I can't be more passionate about it than I am right now, but I just live for it, dude. I live for that feeling. And pulled out his wallet, dude, and he had a list like this, you know. It was just like a piece of paper folded over so many times that it was like this, and he came out of his wallet and he's like, this is my list, man. I'm like, dude, you're gonna spend the rest of your life chasing that list, you know what I mean? So I just go out, and then whatever I come up on, I know I've come up on butters, and I've come up on shit too, you know. To me, it's a learning process. To me, it's so much. Like, there's just so much in it. Like, I've taught myself everything, you know. It's the everything that my name stands for, you know, has been not only with DJing and production, but also with records too. Like, nobody taught me that. When I first started digging, there wasn't no Wax Poetics, there wasn't any digging video, there was nothing like that, dude. Everything I had to just teach myself, and I attribute a lot of that to just digging and staying in the stores and you know, finding a piece and taking it home and listening to it and being like, oh man, so this producer, this is somebody to look for, and you know, or this guy played drums on this record, and that's why, you know, that's what I like about it, was the drum breaks. And so if I find another record with this guy, you know, it's going to be solid. And so it's you know, it's a learning process. There's so much about it that I just love, and for that, it's like, it's worth it for me to stay in the spots.
Coming to the shows really makes your money go farther. You can negotiate with people, so I'm feeling that. You know, everybody wants to claim that you can find anything online, like you just download, everything's available. It's not necessarily true, because there's hell of shit on vinyl that you're not going to find on the internet. And plus, you know, I like having shitty records too, that you're not going to find online. Just find just a little guitar or whatever I'm going to be sampling. You know, you want to have stuff at your disposal that's going to be unique and individual, coming from the DJ producer standpoint. But again, man, it's about making your money. You know, work for you. Pay 99 cents for a downloaded song, buy a whole album. Obviously, records aren't going anywhere. Prices might change, but there's still a lot of volume out there. So, not too many like holy grails I'm looking for. Just like finding new shit I'm not familiar with. Got some OG cats out here in the crowd. Some OG soul doo-wop singers, other musicians, dudes who've been selling records for like 50 years almost. You know, AZ DJs. It's a good spot to be.
Look for everything, soul, just old soul, funk, whatever. I like everything. It's always a beat on something. Looking for some drums, snares, kicks, you name it. I'm always finding something, whether it's on the 45 or LP. Probably like 10 years ago, I was with my man. We're not even alive anymore, Josh. And we went to a house call because he used to work at a store called Monkey Mambo. And we went to a house call. There was a lady who had a store in the 70s. So we was digging right here, and he liked different things than me, or whatever. He was looking for psych or whatever. So he pulls out slow snaps for $10, puts it back, says, whatever. That's all she wrote. That's how I got my copy of Skull Snaps. Rest in peace.
The first album I ever bought was Crocodile Rock by Elton John.
The lady,
and I played it to death, man.
The lady had a store. She had a store in the 70s where there was predominantly rock. So she'll have records like Ultimate Spanish would be $40.
Well, that's a good story.
No, but
story is a good story.
No, so I just went in there and rated like axle rods and all that was nothing to them. So the axle rods was all 5 and below. So how you can buy a skull snatch $10?
It's like a crate thing is wet dream.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you a couple of my 45s here. I don't have the biggest collection, but I do have some bangers. Got a couple boxes. I pulled a couple joints out. This one's real important to me. This is a promo radio station copy on Epic Records. I don't know the year. It's a group called Kaleidoscope. I live in Arizona. I've lived in Tempe. This song is called Tempe, Arizona. And from what I know, this is kind of a rock band. And I guess for some reason this song is just super funky. There's drums everywhere. It's amazing. It's probably one of my most precious records I have, actually.
One of my favorite records was the Soul Twist by King Curtis. Man, I mean, I just played that. I just love that record. It was a great dance record, and it just had such a funky, super sound, and I just loved it. And it wasn't on the radio here, but we just had a great time because when you're getting free records, you can afford to pull the hits out and find stuff, and we certainly weren't in a position to make any hits necessarily, but we turned the Tempe High kids onto a lot of great music that they never would have heard before.
It's a really good album. I haven't heard too much about it, but it's called Rock and Other 4-letter words for like spoken word, sound collage, and beat. It's one of my favorite records ever.
So it was about maybe 3 years back. I called a guy who he was a DJ and he also ran a record pool out in Toledo, Ohio. So I asked him what he has, and he's like, "Oh, we have about 50 to 75,000 12 inches," and it's all. I was like, "What is it, like 80s and 90s?" He's like, "Yeah, it's basically all 80s and 90s, classics and all that stuff." So he talks me into going down there, and we get there, and basically all that's in there is like 1,000 12 inches from like 2003 to 2005, all commercial bullshit. And then he's like, "Oh, tomorrow we could take you to another place," and then he stood us up, and we ended up in a blizzard. It took us like 10 hours to drive back when it should have took us like 4.5. So that was like one of the nightmare digging trips that me and Andy ever went on. I think one other time, him and his brother actually went down to Memphis to do a buy, and then when they got there, they called the guy, and he just said that he sold the collection like the day before, and never cared to call Andy or Tom. So sometimes when you get out there on the road, it's dangerous. You really gotta line up a bunch of stuff, otherwise you can get screwed.
As far as collections, like my whole apartment is filled. I got 2 storages full of records. Started out with just like every fool, breaks, drums. Got into rock. Now it's just I'm a soul head. I'm always a soul head. Soul, funk, stables. I try to have an even collection. I like classic hip hop. Anything that I could use.
I don't know. I got some common joints. Hot Pants, Bobby Bird. I got this test pressing of Memphis Soul Stew, King Curtis, one-sided, Atlantic Records, which is way dope. And some Baby Huey, you know what I'm saying? Some disco, some Fatback. I pulled this out just because I love the way that record companies are trying to get extra sales, and they're putting out 45s as a promotional item. You buy the album, you get this, right? Dope.
my specialty is pretty much like old school hip hop from the 80s up until like the mid 90s, late 90s for the most part. And let's see, what is a good story? Let's see, going out to the Bronx and digging. I ended up meeting a guy named Harvey Frierson or whatever, and he did some internship in the late 80s for like DNA International, and he was working like side by side with Paul C, learning how to do production and stuff like that. But he went on to make a couple of like independent records, like one being Pelon 360 Degrees is the name of the record, the other one being Sport G and Mastermind. And it was just like a really good up-tempo like hip-hop release, which I think had Paul C production on it as well. You know, it's a really desirable record. But he also had a young brother by the name of Young Lord who did like production for Bad Boy Records. So we got to go through all of his records, and that was a good time because you know you got to see all different like Bronx things and like sample records and beat stuff. So yeah, that happened maybe about a couple of years back.
Alright, I have a cool story about this. I got some of these from an older poet years ago. I lived in downtown Phoenix for most of my life, and this was probably 15 years ago down here that he found these records. This guy named Olin, this older poet, was in downtown Phoenix, and he saw where this old Channel 10 news building had been knocked down. There was like a big construction pit, and he saw a bunch of records down there in the dirt. So he like hopped the fence and went down there and started looking, and there was a whole bunch of these from the news station somehow that had been thrown away. They hadn't even been thrown into like a dumpster, they were just in the dirt. So this guy Olin, there's probably this many of these things. He stacks them up. He realizes, this guy's on foot, he realizes that to take them home, he can't even carry all these albums at once. So he takes half of these records, stashes them in a trash can downtown, takes the bus to his house holding like, you know, as many as he can carry on the bus, goes back to the garbage can, gets the rest of the records, and gets them home. And then he's just sitting on them. And I meet up with this guy, because I was DJing at this coffee shop, the Willow House, that's across the street from here, we were just talking about. And he's telling me how he has all these old CBS or Capitol records. So I went to his house and I listened through all of them. And I got them for a good price. I forget what, maybe a couple bucks each. I got a few of them, but some of them are definitely worth looking into.
You know, fella stuff is not the easiest to come. I found both of these at Bookman's for $2 a pop, just right in the front. No one had touched them. I found this fella at a dig spot that I go to, but same thing for like 50 cents. I walk into Bookman's, and as soon as you walk towards the records and you see the counter, the record counter, and they have this display up on top, and they have like dolls and shit up there. And they've had like, they put records up there, but they've had like the same 5 records there for like, honestly for like the last 6 months, the same 5 records were up there. But like right before that was when I got this, and I walked in, and as soon as I walk in, that's the first place I look when I walk into stores. I look up at the counter, I look up at the shelving above the register, and I see this sitting there, and I'm like, God damn it. Sure enough, it had an $8 tag on it, which to be honest is still kind of high for Bookman's, and kind of high. Well, you know, like east side of those guys are probably a price at 20, regardless of the condition, 20, 30 easily. But the point was that I got it for $8 at Bookman's, and it wasn't as high as I thought it was going to be. Like I said, the fact that they had it displayed up there, I figured somebody, because nobody over there knows anything about records. I figured somebody caught on to what this was and like priced it all high. But so that was a time when I didn't pay too much for it. I was very excited about that. For everybody who doesn't know, this is Dorothy's Heart from Dorothy Ashby. Very cool record. But everybody knows what it is. Everybody knows what that record is.
I'm like a huge Beastie Boys fan, and I've been like collecting their records since day one, pretty much. And one of my favorite Beastie Boy records is the In Sound from Way Out. And when this came out back in like the mid '90s, sometime '94, they only pressed up 5,000 copies of this worldwide, and they put them all on, you know, gold vinyl, and they numbered them too. So I went to this store called Atomic Records, and they had it in there for like $20, and I didn't want to pay $20. I thought that was too much, so I was like, I'll just wait, you know, until I find it again. Well, needless to say, I didn't see it again for years and years. And so one summer, me and a couple of buddies we were in South Dakota somewhere and DJing at some club, and earlier that day we found this record store, went in there, they had all the records in the back behind this big gate, and I actually found this. That's where I found this record, and it was like $11-12. It could have been $100 at that time. I still would have bought it, but I finally found it. I was so happy. It was years later, and I grabbed it. This is like number 1242 out of 5,000, and I finally got it. One of my most favorite records. It's probably one of the most prized records in my collection. Beastie Boys, In Sound From Way Out, and I have like at least a crate and a half of just Beastie Boy records. So yeah, this is one of my favorite finds of all time.
There's a great story behind this record. You know, I went down to Tucson for like an art fair with my girlfriend, and was hitting spots, just a few spots, like along the little walkway, and I walked into some it looked like a Salvation Army. It was like a huge garage, and they just had a grocery cart full of beat up records and jackets all bent and hanging and stuff, and then there was a small little shelf, and this was the only thing I pulled this in like a Henry Mancini that I didn't have or something out of there, just because I knew it was going to be cheap. Took it up to the counter, and you know, it was like $1 total, and I only had a debit card, you know, and they wouldn't take any if it was less than like $5. So the woman let me walk with this record on the strength, and I was like pretty amazed. And it was the funny story is she actually was like, "Oh man, I have this record at home. This is great. These guys are great. That's a great record." Or she said something like she knew this band, or this was one of her favorite bands or something. And I kind of, you know, and the chances of her actually having this, I mean, not to again sound like too much of an elitist, but the chances of her actually having this at home is pretty slim. But turned out to be a great record, man, and I mean, it's cool. It's not the greatest record, it's not the funkiest record I've ever heard, but it's just one of those stories, man, that you know, you never get that experience. You never get that experience when you go into a Zia or something, you know, because they're going to have this on the wall for $20 or $30 just on the strength of what it looks like, you know what I mean? And you go, you know, I went into a little Salvation Army spot that had boxes of records for like $0.25 a piece, and this lady let, you know, 50 cents, excuse me, because the total was $1, but she let me walk with this because it just was no big deal. You never get a story like that. You never get an experience like that out of a Zia or a Bookman's or any record store for that matter.
You know, I got Sonic Youth stuff. I mean, for days, that's my favorite rock band of all time. I got tons and tons and tons. Thurston Moore. I got Joy Division, New Order. So I'm not just one-dimensional, man. I got it all. I like everything. I love this. That's dope. 3 parts. New Order.
I've had a lot of records over the years that I've learned to appreciate after getting them, and I grew up in Tempe and was playing, but then I found out a lot of cool records were actually made in Phoenix at Audio Recorders, and so one of the groups that I did have and I'd heard of was Eddie and Ernie, and they were a soul duo here in the 70s along the lines of Sam and Dave. And they did some recording here, but they recorded both in L.A. and New York and maybe South Carolina. They kind of recorded all over. But anyway, I'd done some work with a company called Ace Records in England. And of course, the English have appreciated our music, rockabilly, whatever it is, so a lot more than we did. And so a lot of those companies were looking for masters and putting out CDs in Europe long before they'd ever get an American release. So OIC had been here for years, And I was talking to Gene Blue one time, and I said, you know, this guy in England was asking about, you know, Eddie and Ernie, and wanted to know about Ernie. He thought he was dead, and he's, oh no, he's around here, man. I just saw him last week, you know. I go, what? And so yeah, he's here. He's on the streets, you know. He doesn't have a fixed address or a phone or anything. And he said, I'll next time I run into him, I'll give you a call. I said, oh, you've got to, man. So I mean, literally several months later, I got a call from Gene Blue, and he said, hey, Ernie was here. I told him you're looking for him. He's coming back tomorrow at noon. So why don't you come down here and you can meet him? And so I did. I went down to IC the next day, and I met Ernie and took him out to lunch. I mean, he was literally living on the street. I mean, he had a shopping cart, but then in a way that's where he wanted to be. You know, he'd get a little money, and then he'd you know, have too many drinks or whatever, and then kind of, you know, lay low for a while, and so the most moving moment for me was sitting across from him at Denny's in downtown Phoenix with Dave Godin's liner notes from some of the CDs that he'd done, and Dave was describing how the music of Eddie and Ernie was so great and so emotional, and what it meant to him. The point is that he did receive some recognition and some credit and acknowledgement for all the great songs that he did, and so that was probably one of my biggest thrills as far as biggest finds, was actually to find him.
I'm from Bakersfield, California. This is my old roommate that I used to live with is in this band called Active Ingredients, and it's on Beer City Records. And this was pressed up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And funny thing is, I never owned this in my life, and I move out here, and I'm looking through this, and I see my old roommate sitting passed out in front of our old couch. That's hilarious to me. Good catch, buddy.
That's what it's all about, man. Got my two favorite things, records and playing with the dog.
What made a dope DJ back in the day, to me, was having that one record that no one else had. And when you drop that, everyone would go crazy. Ice Cream Man, what up? Anyways, that's what separated good DJs from bad DJs. Your vinyl selection. And nowadays, you got cats. They get together and they'll take their hard drive and they'll share it. So it's like every DJ has the same exact songs. And you go out to this club, you're probably gonna hear the same stuff that this club's playing. There's not that much uniqueness anymore, I don't think. And I think that's where the vinyl really came into play, because you couldn't just copy your record and put it on a turntable that night. You know, it's nowadays you just go online, you hit a button, you got the song, and you're getting songs that people have spent their whole life chasing. And that's what used to be so fun about nights. You know, you'd wait to see what your man was gonna play, and what new joints he had discovered or brought out, or what records he had that you didn't have. And you know what I mean? That's what made a DJ dope. And you know, unfortunately, I think with Serato, it is a great tool, but also I think it is dumbing down the DJ culture. I'd like to see a little more creativeness when people are using Serato. And I plan to when I get it, so be on the lookout. But until then, I'll just keep rocking my vinyl. And I always will rock vinyl for forever. So that's something I always do. Buy records. It's in my blood. I can't help it. Once you get the vinyl virus, it's with you forever. So that's what's up.
As far as a passion, probably soul and R&B. James Brown at Live at the Apollo was the first real record that just, you know, fried my mind when I heard that, and I heard it on the radio and ran out and bought a copy, and then just listened to it over and over and over again. It was just that was a mind-altering experience. And then I actually got a set of drums around that time, and I sat and played drums to James Brown Live at the Apollo, trying to figure out what the drummer was doing and trying to duplicate that on my own set of drums. So.
Record collecting is definitely a passion of mine. My love for music started at a very young age for me. My father was a jazz enthusiast. He had a pretty nice jazz collection, and my older sisters, were into all of the, the P-Funk and Cameo, Earth, Wind and Fire, all of that stuff. So I grew up, really getting down to the Jackson 5 and Ohio Players and all that kind of stuff. To this day, I would say that, soul music is definitely my favorite type of music. There's nothing like hearing Patti LaBelle or Gladys Knight, or the struggle and the pain in Marvin Gaye's voice when you hear him. There's just nothing like it. And to hear that kind of stuff on a disc, with the little crackles and pops, and you're looking at the artwork while you're listening to it. There's just nothing like it. You don't get that kind of feeling from any other type of musical media, and that kind of drives me to continue to be on the search for that next find, that next dig. I've gotten the opportunity to dig all over the country, and I haven't even, really gotten started yet. And collecting records goes along with collecting just about anything. I know I'm a freak when it comes to collecting stuff. Along with records, I got the boom boxes and kicks, so many kicks I don't know what to do. Old toys and, cards, marbles, Pez heads, old magazines, musical memorabilia. It just goes on and on and on. And but this is what I love. I could die in this room right now. This is like everything to me. So I'm gonna keep at it, man. This is what I love. It's what I love.
It's unbelievable how many of these are, and every one out of every 10 will be where the damn they'll have something on it that's kind of funky, but for the most part, it's all Yellowbird. Yeah, you'll always see Yellowbird among these Calypso records. Never fails.
Oh, I don't know about those disco records. You can have as many of those disco records as you want. What's that? Well, yeah, it's disco, just take it.
That was when I...
Another raw. Here's another raw.
Raw. That's my whole thing about, the dumpster time. But man, I won't stop. I won't stop at nothing for records, man.
If it's good music, I dig it, and I just say I have a passion for great music. Of course, that's always subjective, but to narrow it down, there's just too much great stuff out there.